Hi everyone, Donna Log Cabin Stitcher here, and I like to make hats. When I want a quick project to do, I pull out my bulky weight yarn and I make a hat, and it goes really quick, just 1 to 2 hours to make this hat. Depending on how fast you crochet. It only takes 1 skein of yarn. And this is a pattern I came up with. It's seamless, and like I said, it goes really quick. So this one here is made with super bulky weight yarn. And it was 87 yards on the skein, and I used all of it. And then this one was made with just the number 5 bulky weight yarn, and I think there was 15 yards on that skein, and I had this much yarn left, so it took about 100 yards maybe. And then I made one holding 2 strands together. 2 strands of yarn, and that is this hat here. So like I said, it goes really quick, it's very easy, and I want to show you how I do it. Okay, so it only takes 1 skein of yarn to make this hat, so watch for in the clearance aisles, just watch for those yarns. You know, they have 1 skein left or 2 of one color, and they just throw it on clearance. So just watch for those skeins. You can either use the number 5 bulky, or you can use super bulky, or like I said, you can hold 2 strands together of just regular weight yarn, the number 4 worsted weight, or even the number 3 sport weight yarn. But there's some, I love this chunky that I got in clearance, and this one's a number 5 bulky weight yarn. And then here's some Charisma. I get this at Michael's, and it's a number 5 bulky. It has about 109 yards on it. Sometimes they have these on sale like $2 a skein, and when they do, I grab a bunch of different colors. So they have a lot of beautiful different colors, variegated yarns, and then they also have just plain colored yarns. So there's a pretty pink. So just grab a skein of your bulky weight yarn and a J crochet hook, and I will show you how to make this hat. Okay, so to make this quick and easy little hat, I am using Charisma yarn, and it's 109 yards, and we won't need all of it. And the color is Think Pink, and this is a number 5 bulky weight, but you can use any number 5 bulky weight or even a number 6. And then I have some scissors, and I have a couple of stitch markers, and I have a tape measure and my J crochet hook. And I get this hook from Hobby Lobby. It's a Yarnology hook, and it's $2.99. It's one of my favorite. Okay, so I am going to start with a slip knot. Now you can start with a magic ring or magic circle. You can start with that too, but I'm gonna start with a chain 4, and then I'm gonna slip stitch to join, And then I'm going to chain 1, and that does not count as a stitch. And then inside your little circle there, I'm going to do a single crochet and another single crochet, and I'm going to put my stitch marker in that first single crochet. Okay, and then I'm going to do a half double crochet and another half double crochet, and then I'm going to do 6 double crochets. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, and if it gets a little tight, just pull it. 5 and 6. So you should have 10 stitches. You should have 6 double crochets, 2 half doubles, and 2 singles. Okay, so the second round, I'm going to take out my little stitch marker, and in that first single crochet, I'm going to do 2 double crochets. And I'm going to put my stitch marker in that first double crochet I just made. Okay, so now in each stitch around, we're going to do 2 double crochets. So just do that all the way around on row 2. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of row 2, and I'm going to do 2 double crochets in that last stitch there, right before my stitch marker. And then I'm going to take my stitch marker out. And I'm going to do 1 double crochet in that stitch. And I'm going to put my stitch marker in that double crochet I just made, because that's the beginning of round 3. Okay, and then I'm going to do 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And then I'm going to do 1 double crochet in the next stitch. And then I'm going to do 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and then I'm going to do 1. So you just do that all the way around. On this round you do 2 double crochets and then 1, and then 2 double crochets and then 1. So do that all the way around. Okay, so I'm coming up to the end of round 3. So in this last stitch you should have 2 double crochet. And there's my little stitch marker. So now we're starting round 4. And you should have, the end of round 3, you should have 30 stitches. So round 4, we're going to put a double crochet, that first stitch. I'm going to put my stitch marker in that, back in that double crochet. Okay, and then we're going to do a double crochet in the next stitch. And then 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Okay, so then I'm going to do 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And that is the repeat for this round. So it's a single, or I'm sorry, double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet, and then 2 double crochets. And just do that all the way around on this row. Okay, I'm coming up to the end of row 4, so I'm doing 1 double crochet and 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 in the last stitch right before my stitch marker. Okay, so I'm going to take my stitch marker out. I'm going to put a double crochet there where that was, and this is going to be row 5. Put my stitch marker back in there. So then I'm going to do a double crochet in the next stitch, 1 in the next stitch, and then 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And this is pretty standard making a hat. First you do 2 double crochets in the first round, and then you increase every other stitch and then every 3rd stitch. So now I'm increasing every 4th stitch. So I'm doing a double crochet and 1, 2, 3 stitches, and then 2 double crochets in the next stitch. So you just want to do that all the way around on round 5. Just double crochet, and then 2 double crochets. Just do that all the way around. Okay, so I'm coming up to the end of round 5. So I'm doing my double crochet, 1, 2, 3, in that last stitch before my stitch marker I'm doing 2 double crochet. Okay, so then after this round you should have 50 stitches all the way around, and what I am trying to get to is about 7 inches across, which, see, it's about right at 7 inches. So for an adult size you want it about 7 inches across. Okay, so then from here we're not going to increase anymore, and we're going to change to a half double crochet. So in this first stitch I'm going to do a half double crochet. I'm going to put my stitch marker back in there. Okay, so from here around we're just going to keep doing half double crochets. And that just makes the hat a little thicker on the sides, a little warmer. This is a great project quick project for a gift, or you could make cancer hats for people. Just kind of be careful what kind of yarn you use when you make cancer hats. You can make them for homeless shelters or for schools, just all kinds of places you can make these hats for really quick. Okay, so we're going to do half double crochet around, for about 8 or 9 rows. So I'll do about 8 rows, and then I'll come back and see where we're at. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of my first round of half double crochets, and I'm back around to my stitch marker, and I'm going to take my stitch marker out. I'm going to do a half double crochet in that stitch, and then I'm going to put my stitch marker back in there, that stitch right below it, just right there, and I'm just going to leave it there as I keep going around. I'm just going to leave my stitch marker there as I go round and round and round, and then as my rows grow I can tell, you know, where I started my half double crochets, and I've done one round so I can count the rows as I go up. Alright, so just keep doing half double crochets around and around. I have half double crocheted around and around. Here's my stitch marker where I started my half double crochet rows. So I have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows of half double crochet. And I have stopped, here's my stitch marker, I have stopped just a couple stitches before that stitch marker there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a single crochet and another single crochet in the next stitch, and then I'm going to do a slip stitch. Okay, now I'm going to do the reverse single crochet. It's also called a crab stitch. It just puts a nice little edging on the hat. So that where I did that slip stitch, I'm going to go right back in there. I'm going to pull up the yarn, and I'm going to pull through both those loops. The first one's just a little bit tight. Okay, so then here's our next single crochet going backwards. So I'm going to put my hook in there, pull up a loop, and go through both loops. Okay, and you want to kind of do this loosely, not too tight. So I'm going in the next one. This is my half double crochet. I'm going to pull up a loop and go through both loops. And my next stitch right here, pull up a loop, go through both loops. Okay, one more time. That stitch right there, I'm going to pull up the loop, go through both loops. Okay, so you're just going to do that all the way around in each stitch, all the way around. Coming around to the end of the row, I do a stitch there, and a stitch here. I'm going to do one more stitch right here. Okay, I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm just going to pull it through that last stitch. I'm going to get my yarn needle. And I'm going to put this yarn right, there's a stitch here and a stitch here. I'm going to put it right here. And then I'm going to go up and over to make it look like there's a stitch there. I'm going to go under this one. I'm just following this loop right here. And I'm going to turn it over and just kind of weave it in back here. Just weave it in like you normally would. I'll weave it in a little bit more, but that way it just kind of blends in there at the top. Okay, so there is our little hat. I also like to take the tail on the inside of the hat where we started and weave it around kind of the circle here. Just go around and then pull it tight, and that kind of cinches that hole there in the middle. You just go around a couple times. Whoops, came out. But you just go around a couple times and just pull it tight, and that cinches that circle there. So it looks on the outside, looks like that. So this is how much I had left of the pink yarn. I started out with 109 yards. So you could make this into a flower and add it to your hat or many other things. But I also have, I have just a plastic bag full of number 5 bulky white yarn, all my leftovers. And it's getting kind of full, but you can take some of those scraps out of there and make a scrappy hat. Now for the super bulky weight, this is number 6, super bulky. I went up a couple hook sizes. I went up to a size L hook, and I did the same thing as the other hat, but I only did 4 rounds instead of 5. So I have 40 stitches all the way around, and I'm at my 7 inches for an adult size. And it doesn't have to exactly be 7 inches, but that's just kind of the measurement I use. So I have my little stitch marker here. So this is where I'm going to start going around and round again with my half double crochets. And with the pink hat, I did the 9 rows of half double crochets. But with the super bulky, it won't be 9 rows. It'll be less than that. And what I usually do is I just, I put it on my head, see how many rows I need to do, or I put it on my husband's head and just see, how long I want to make it. So that's how I do the super bulky one. So for my super bulky hat, I ended up doing 7 rows of the half double crochet before I did the crab stitch. And that's how much yarn I have left of, I think it was 81 yards on that skein, yeah. And then here's my bulky weight hat. And that's how much yarn I have left of the 109 yard skein. And then I went ahead, I keep my scraps in just a plastic bag, so I went ahead and did a really quick scrappy hat. And I probably have enough left to do about 2 more. So this is definitely my go-to pattern to make a hat. And if you have a 1 skein of yarn, bulky or super bulky, and you don't know what to do with it, then make a hat. So thank you so much for watching, and I will be back soon.